an identity shift for some people where I am a learner. I embrace change. And if we hold that core to who we are as a person and our identity, as new tools pop up, you want to be in the mix because you are someone with a curious brain. You are somebody who likes to learn. You are somebody who wants to try new things.
Anybody else have work up in the air and curious about what the future holds, maybe even looking to reinvent themselves? Then join in. Let's do this. Welcome in, my reinventing friends. And one of the things that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and I know that you do too, is how dramatically work is changing right now. Whether you're a founder, an executive, leading a team, working on a team, in the throes of change, or even looking out on the horizon to reinvent your career, it feels like the pace of change has gone from fast to relentless. AI is accelerating everything. Expectations are rising. Everyone is being asked to do more with less, and stress levels about the future are huge. Now, almost everyone I talk to is navigating uncertainty while simultaneously trying to manage their own anxiety about the future and create a sense of clarity for everyone else around them. And that's why I'm excited about today's conversation. Now, I don't usually invite other coaches onto the show, right? I'm normally focused on reinventors, builders, and thought leaders from a wide range of industries, but today's guest sits in a unique position. She works with executives, founders, and leadership teams across some of the most demanding organizations in the world, giving her a front row seat to what people in the workplace are actually struggling with right now and what's helping them succeed. So joining me today is Nikki Goldman, founder of IO Coaching. And before we get started, Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, super pumped for this. I met Nikki at a conference called Transform, and instantly it was like, we're so resonating on some of the basic things we talked about. And before founding IO, Nikki held founding and operating roles at high growth startups, including WayUp, which was later acquired by Yellow, as well as leadership roles at companies like Red Bull. And today she coaches executives across hedge funds, private equity firms, Fortune 500 companies, venture-backed startups. And she helps leaders drive results while navigating what we're talking about, right? Complexity, growth, and change. And she brings a rare combination of operator experience and executive coaching expertise, which makes her perspective especially valuable at a moment when the very nature of work and success seems to be evolving in real time. So Nikki, let's start with this, right? From your vantage point, what are the biggest shifts you're seeing in companies right now as AI and rapid technological change continue to reshape the workplace?
Gosh, I feel like we're talking about this every session across all industries. And the people who I coach are usually leading big teams, if not the full organization. And so what's on their minds as it relates to change and transformation is really just adoption. It's how can I get the people in my company thinking this way? How can I get them to be driving this change, driving new initiatives, bringing to the table new ideas? And really at the end of the day, they just don't want their employees to be scared of it, right? They see some people are tepid or hesitant because they feel like it might be taking their jobs. But if we're doing our jobs right, actually, we're the ones who are suggesting it, learning it, implementing it within the org. I have a client who wanted to incentivize their entire company to bring new AI tools and new technologies to the company. It's a pretty old school company. I think they've been around for like 70 years. I think like big construction company, was a family business. And they really want to be a leading driver in AI. So they incentivize the whole company. Anyone who submits any sort of AI tool with a little brief on how they would use it gets a $500 gift card. If it gets implemented, they get a $5,000 bonus. And so this was like, I did no bad ideas, bring everything to the table. We want to hear from you. We want you thinking this way. And it was super successful. I think that spans all my companies, though. They want them engaged and they want bringing ideas. And really a great idea now can come from anyone, no matter what level of seniority you're at.
I want to dive into one of the things that you said that happened a lot at Transform, the conversations that I was having, the conference that we met at, which is this idea of adoption, right? So it's very clear, right, that everyone is trying to adopt very fast, right? Top down, CEOs and founders are very motivated to get AI implemented, right? To increase profitability. Obviously, this is just where we're at right now. And that fear around people that, oh, well, it may take my job, right? That's very real for a lot of people, right? Meaning that there is some truth to the fact that we're pushing the workforce to adopt AI tools. And in some cases, this may end up replacing or really changing a job or a role by which that person isn't even really the right person for that particular role, right? And the big saying that everyone's talking about is that AI is not going to replace your position. It's someone that understands AI is going to replace your position. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts around that, right? Because there is some truth to that. How do you help these leaders navigate that reality that this is changing things and we do need to push it down, but it also is changing things. As an executive coach, how do you help the leaders communicate that to the larger, group below them?
It's a great question. It would be remiss not to acknowledge that, yes, some jobs will change, maybe to the point of being obsolete, or maybe just really change. And that can hurt people. But we have been saying that we've been scared of job security with every sort of new innovation, the Industrial Revolution, any sort of revolution, any kind of new time, people are scared. Now, I'm not saying don't be, because this is unprecedented and this is moving at a pace that we have never seen before. But what I will say is that the people who are driving the projects forward, the people who are becoming fluent in these tools, the people who are really the change makers within the org, have the best job security, because this change is going to happen whether you are on the boat or not. So my advice to employees is to get on the boat, learn about these tools, because that is going to make you indispensable. The other thing that makes you indispensable is your humanity. There are certain things that AI just can't and won't replace. And those, what we used to call soft skills, I think that they're hard skills, like the emotional intelligence, emotion regulation, communication skills, being an inspiring leader. Those things are going to matter so much more. So I think if you have those two things in concert, you are fluent in these tools, you are technologically enabled, and you are a person who embraces their humanity at work and can lead teams, that is what's going to give you the job security, especially as times are changing so fast.
Yeah, I love that, obviously. I mean, I think it's a great message, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. Let's talk about the soft skills a little bit, because you just mentioned it, right? Because this is a lot of what we do as coaches, right?
For sure.
We teach communication, we teach conscious influence, we teach how to deal with hard conversations, difficult situations, and all these skills that are really important, how to inspire, right? A team, how to inspire people in your group. It's a very interesting juxtaposition we're in right now, right? With AI, which is purely technology and is something that is different than the Industrial Revolution and times of past, because it is evolving and learning and doing things itself, especially with agentic AI that's emerging right now. But let's talk about how you're helping these leaders and people in companies continue to develop the soft skills, the leadership skills, the communication skills, right? In concert with the need to expand and adopt AI. What are you finding in terms of the soft skills as the most important ones for the leaders that you're finding to be the most successful? What are they doing? The ones that you're seeing really winning the game right now in terms of their communication style, their leadership style. Talk to me about what's really working right now.
It's a great question. So the leaders who I think are winning, well, let me even back up. The leaders who I think have that superpower are the ones who are calm. I think when you are able to be calm, you are able to communicate more effectively. You are able to lead with empathy, lead with authenticity. You are able to listen and hear people, and you're able to create an environment where you can intake data and intake people's ideas and then come back with the best one or the vision or the direction. So for me, all of these soft skills, they all boil down to, are you able to be calm? Lead from a place of consciousness, lead from a place of intention, and not get frazzled. Because when we start letting the tail wag the dog, that's when we start tumbling down, and it starts at the top. It's like a domino effect, If you start tumbling or if you feel anxious, that just compounds all the way down the org, And that's when we lose our sense of humanity. That's when we lose what it is that we were actually doing here. And that's how you win in the soft
Right.
skill game.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same old story. I don't even think it just applies for companies and leadership. It's also in our own lives, right?
Oh, for sure.
How to have great relationships, how to have fulfilling relationships outside of work as well. Like it all comes down to, you called it being calm. I would also say the ability to listen and take in information that doesn't necessarily automatically resonate with you. It's really like learning that other people's perspective matter and they have value, like even if you don't necessarily agree with it or even understand it. And I think that's what you're pointing to, is that the leaders that you're seeing in this crazy rapid pace world that we're living in are cultivating the ability to really stay calm and really pay attention to what's coming in, so that way they can make really smart and informed decisions. Am I saying it correctly? Is that another way?
You're saying it exactly correctly, because if you're not calm, you can't listen, you can't see, because that's when our blinders come on. I mean, I know we're both parents. There's no more acute example of this, I think, than in parenting, that everyone's taking their cues from you. And it's the same with companies, right? We all look towards that leader to kind of see what kinds of words are they using, what's their vibe like, what's their energy. And unconsciously, we adopt those as our own. So if you're a leader of the company, you set that tone.
I love what you just said. And in fact, it reminds me of a client that I had recently. And again, leadership client, talking about the company and communicating to all the people below him on the chain. And after the second session where we talked about some of these soft communication skills and we got back on the call, I said, well, talk to me about some wins that happened. The only thing that he had to share was what happened with his family and his kids, over the holiday weekend. I mean, So it's very common that the things that we talk about as coaches, when it's, framed in executive coaching or leadership, it's also happens in their personal lives, right? And it's the most important thing. And I think in this world that we're living in, Nikki, which is like accelerating like crazy, it's harder and harder to remember what we're talking about, which is the calm win, the one who can actually slow down and develop some practices that slow their mind down to be able to listen to others and listen to the field that's around them, take in information, process it in an appropriate way, and then respond are the ones who win. I'm curious, what are some of the practices that you give that help your leaders develop that ability to really slow down? Because there's a lot of things out there. I have my own ways. What are some of your secrets to be able to do that? How do you coach your leaders to be calm?
Yeah. Oh, I talk about this all the time. It's one of the most important principles, I think, in leadership. I am a very logical, linear thinker, and I am not very woo-woo at all. But some of these sound a little woo-woo, but they are backed by science, and they really work.
I'm very woo, so you're in the right place right now. You can tell me anything.
I feel like I have to disclaim it.
A lot of people do, but a lot of this stuff is backed by science now, right?
It really
which is cool. Okay, but
it
go on.
really is. The first is energy wrapping. So I teach all of my clients how to do this. So first is that we pick an intention, pick an energy. So maybe I want to come into my day with collaborative energy, or maybe I want to go into this meeting with conscious energy, or maybe I am going to have a tough performance review and my energy that I pick is calm. Then I assign a color to it. So let's go with the calm, because we've been talking about this for a while. Maybe my calm is like a light blue. For me, that's the color I'm going to pick. Right before the meeting, we close our eyes, take a few deep breaths, and we visualize that color wrapping our entire body, wrapping our body in that energy, our intention. And we've picked some sort of affirmation, some sort of mantra. I am calm, cool, collected. Nothing can shake me. I know who I am, and I know who I am as a leader. And this is what I'm going to bring to the table. Whatever you choose, whatever feels right for you. And for 10 seconds, you just picture that color wrapping your entire body. And I promise you, if you try that, you will embody whatever your intention was, whatever it was. It's amazing. It works. It is like a magic trick. I have my most, if you were going to think of like a spectrum of like woo-woo to like total logical, I have like my most logical clients, think hedge fund type, like running huge companies, who are doing this, and they roll their eyes and I make them promise me that they're going to try it, and they come back and I didn't lose my cool. I was totally regulated. I got out what I wanted to say. It's a really cool trick.
Okay, so I've never heard of this. Okay, and I am really woo. I mean,
Am I blowing your mind?
well, I mean, I've done things like this, but
Kidding.
But the idea of picking kind of like an intention about what you want to do, I want to be collaborative. I want this to be whatever it is, right? And then the color, choosing a color, it doesn't matter what color. It's just something that represents that, or is there?
Yeah, what I find is that a lot of us like have these colors that we feel like correspond to these words, and it's kind of instinctual. Like I know if I'm going in with collaborative energy, that's like a neon orange for me. Like I know that I'm going to wrap my body in neon orange. That calm is that blue. Maybe if I'm going in with curiosity, I think of it like more of like a light red. So everyone has their own sort of key that they would use. And it feels instinctual, and you just visualize your entire body getting wrapped in that color.
Mm-hmm. And you do this before you go into the meeting, but then you're not really thinking about it in the interaction. It's just kind of running on your subconscious or whatever.
Exactly.
And then after you're like, wow, that really works. Is that kind of the experience?
It's a visualization exercise. So visualization I use in coaching all the time. I think it's such an important tool, and athletes use it too. So let's say you're a tennis player and you've got a big match coming up. You spend a lot of time in visualization, picturing yourself on the court, watching your serve, watching you hit the winning shot. We spend a lot of time there so that our brains are already ready for it when we hit that court. It's the same thing in the office or at work, right? Like we have to spend time thinking about how we want to be or how we want to show up and see ourselves doing that. And then when it comes into the moment, we've already done it. It's the muscle memory. We've already seen it. So by putting that intention and wrapping your entire body, it's kind of like a shield of armor that you can't be anything other than that.
Right. Yeah. And then when neuroplasticity kind of became like a big thing and science discovered that our brains are plastic, and, this just backs up what you're saying. And that's a lot of where the science comes from around practices like this. So we're already thinking it. I want to focus on this for a second because you have big time executives that you would probably think would never do something like this, paying you a lot of money to tell them to do this and then getting the result. Meanwhile, I guarantee you that 99.99% of the people out there and the people listening to this right now probably aren't doing stuff like this all the time, right? And that's why I wanted to bring you on as a coach, because these things work, right? Like you have the ability to change outcomes, and it starts with changing your mind first and actually integrating practices that have always been proven to work. And I just learned a new one today that I will be doing this one, the one that you just told me.
Oh, great. Oh, I was share.
No, this one. Yeah, we could geek out on this probably all day, but I love it because it's another way. And I think it's so very important that in this time of AI and agents and companies and all these things happening like the way to really be successful and the way to really get stuff done is to use your mind to create those outcomes and do practices like this energy wrap. So that way you have a really good experience, because it's the relationships that always matter.
Yeah. And it's the energy that's contagious, because if I go in with that calm energy, it's going to transfer to you. And if I come in with negative energy or anxious energy, that's also going to transfer. So you are creating an environment, and that's what's going to matter in this AI age. Going back to one of your earlier questions when we're talking about, job security and people being worried, I've been a coach for over 10 years now. And even I get those sneaky thoughts around, oh my gosh, AI is coming for my job. I have clients telling me, longtime clients, that they created a GPT coach for them and they're using it. And my anxious brain wants to say, oh no, like the chat or Claude can't do what I'm doing. But my brain of abundance, my executive functioning, in a lot of ways, it can. And in a lot of ways on the in-between, it is really helpful. So for me, sure, I get those sneaky feelings, but the best response for me is to embrace it and encourage my clients to use it. Yeah, create a bot, use it in between sessions. Or if you're not finding value, great. You've just saved a ton of money. And then my job is to become better. My job is to also use the tools. My job is to lean more into that humanity and the energy that I bring, because that part of it, that's the part that can't be replaced, that human relationship. And so that's my path as it relates to, feeling a little insecure with all of the new developments, especially in my space.
I just want to reiterate how important what you shared is right now, because people come to me and like, how do I be successful in this world that's completely uncertain? We don't know. I feel like I need to carve out my little space and hold on to it very tightly. And what you just shared is the opposite of that, right? And as a coach as well, we both know that people are using AI to get really great information and reflections that we would give, to our clients. And very important. That's why I want to shine a light on what you said, which is that you're not rejecting it, you're embracing it and you're supporting it. And you're saying, hey, yeah, definitely use it. Actually show me what you're doing and let me continue to do what I'm doing. And it's that energy that you have, that perspective that you have, and that intention you have to accept reality and not fight it, is what will lead you to continued success, because people will want to work with you. It reminds me, I've done a lot of sales training in the past, right? And there's a big book that was written years back around the number one car salesman in the US. This is one guy in Detroit who was like the number one car salesperson, like by far, right? It's like this normal guy, and he just literally like makes more money selling cars than anyone. And
Wow.
people study him, like they study him. And what he does is very similar to what you just said, is people come to him and he doesn't try to sell them a car. He tries to like find out what they really want, and he recommends the solution that's right for them. And a lot of the time it's like, hey, you should go down the street and look at Cadillac, or you should actually like wait a little bit, or like he just helps the people, and it creates such a field of trust around him that they want to buy from him, but they refer people and they come back. And I think that's what we're starting to see happen more, even more with AI right now, because there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But the relationships are the things that are going to drive us to the promised land, right? I mean, is that kind of another way to saying what?
For sure. It's exactly what I'm saying. And, I could reject it, but instead I've asked my clients who are using it to, before our session, just ask it to send a quick recap of everything that happened, and we'll use that as our agenda. And honestly, it's made me such a better coach too.
Yeah.
It creates a trust that I am willing to meet my clients where they are and also where the world is. And it's a trend that I'm seeing among companies as well, is this like job hugging instead of job hopping.
Right.
People holding on for dear life because they feel like they are like so scared of what's going to come. But like we spoke about before, the change is coming, and you are on the boat or you're holding on to shore, but that boat's going to leave, and we want everyone on the boat.
You just kind of stated the mission statement of reinvention, like just the word itself. That's what it is. It's like accepting change. We can't fight existing reality. I know there's a whole contingent of people out there that are, AI is bad and we shouldn't do this. It's going to ruin the planet. It's going to do X, Y, Z. It's going to take over. Like the Matrix is real. Right. Soon the bots are going to come in. I mean, I get it, and all the sci-fi movies pointed to this. Like, I totally get it. The question is like, what do we do with it? And I think accepting it, is a way where when I look at someone like you look happy and fulfilled and on fire and on purpose. And that itself is because you're accepting. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about something that we probably both deal with a lot. I know a lot of my listeners deal with, which is like the experience of being burned out, the experience of kind of, man, I'm burnt. There's a lot of stress and anxiety, that I'm dealing with as a leader, as a founder, or in whatever position they may hold. Have things changed? Like, how do you coach people through burnout in this AI world when it feels overwhelming? Like, what are some of the things that you look at or ways that you help people navigate or shift that framework from this is too overwhelming and hard and I'm going to get stuck or whatever it might be, over into being more empowered, right? And I'm just curious, has AI brought in a new layer of this that we haven't seen, let's say 5 years ago, that is now impacting your clients in new and different ways?
It's a great question. I think we throw around the word burnout a lot. And true burnout is, when you have no gas left in the tank. And oftentimes people will feel that they're burnt out, but it's actually not that. It can be something different. It can be that they feel like they're on a hamster wheel and they just don't know where they're going. Their job scope has just gotten so much bigger and that they really don't have the bandwidth. So burnout, I think it's really important if you're working with a coach or if you're just talking to a friend, if someone says the word burnout, that we really question if this is true burnout or if this is a feeling, or if this is more just we are not leading through consciousness. And we are letting autopilot do the work and it's catching up to us and we're just kind of like on the track sprinting. So I think making sure that we're talking about real burnout first, that is the first order of business.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a medical term now. I mean, you can't just
Yeah.
like say the word. I work with a lot of doctors. I mean, I've worked with Kaiser Permanente, and like I've seen levels of burnout that I didn't even really know existed.
Yeah, no, it's
So it's not like, oh, I compare you to you, but I'm just saying, I think you're right. I mean, I think there really is a spectrum, when it comes to burnout that, yeah, I mean, we need to first self-assess what that actually like means, right? And so
exactly.
like in terms of the leaders that you're coaching, what is one thing that you believe that leaders and people that are in positions of authority, whether in a company or even in their life, right, should stop doing immediately if they want their teams to perform better in this environment, right? So like from your standpoint, like what is one thing that you're seeing that leaders are doing, because maybe they're stuck in the past or old ways that they need to move away from, right, in order to get alignment and flow and energy working, on their team?
That's a great question. I think that there's a lot of ways technology can fill in gaps, but the thing that it really can't do, and it is the leader's job, is to not only set a vision, but to bring your teams in and have buy-in on what that vision is, and they understand what their own mini vision is, that it's actually theirs. That is something that they have articulated themselves, something that they have memorialized, and something where they know what the goalposts are. Because we can fill in a lot of that work, but if we don't know exactly where we're going, we're never going to get there. And we want everyone to feel like they're in the driver's seat. So if I'm a team lead and I'm like, all right, we're going to California, figure it out. Like I might end up in San Francisco and my teammate might end up in LA and someone else, like they're in Sacramento. And actually all those are pretty far away. And in the end, we're still siloed. So the job, the thing that will set your team up for success and the step that we often miss is creating a roadmap together where everyone has input and then everyone can get in their own cars and take the road trip and figure out how they want to get there. If someone wants to take the highway, someone wants to take the scenic route, whatever it is. But we have a date and time and meeting place that we are all getting to and ending up together in the same place. That's teamwork. That's how we build teams, high performing teams. Otherwise, we're just like a group of people who happen to maybe have a team meeting once every other week.
Yeah. I'm going to go a step further on that because talking about AI and what's actually happening, have you heard of G-Brain? Has that term hit you yet?
But that,
The founders of Y Combinator did a whole kind of expose on it, I think in their newsletter, like talking about G-Brain, which is like the future of how companies are going to be organized. I mean, AI is going to evolve into this very central feature in organizations that will be doing what you're saying, actually, will be taking in information and actually creating a G-brain, like a brain of the company.
Wow.
That will create alignment. So it's interesting that you're talking like leaders need to be doing this, but this is what's different about this time is that AI is going to be evolving to a place where it's going to facilitate. It goes back to the point of what you're saying, which is adopt the tools, like understand what's happening. Because the point of it is that even if you adopt tools that, are big today, like in a year from now, some of those may be obsolete. But the point is to be in the game, right? So that way you have like fluidity and understanding as these things evolve. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody who I'm bringing on the podcast, okay? Because he's somebody that he sold a bunch of companies, like he's really far ahead in tech, right? And he's one of those people that's probably in the top 1,000 or 2,000 people on the planet. Wow. Thinking about like where agentic AI is going, and I had a conversation with them and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like just to hear someone like that and like what their perspective is pretty fascinating. It kind of like, I was silent for a day. It was like really weird to think about some of the things that he was saying, right? But he's probably right in some ways, maybe not in the specifics, but that's why like not rejecting, but adopting is so very important. Even just like energetically as a human being, saying that this is real.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of an identity shift for some people where we need an identity shift around, I am a learner. I embrace change. And if we hold that core to who we are as a person and our identity, it becomes a little easier for us to know, like, I am a lifelong learner. And that is something that I hold close to my identity. And so, yes, as new tools pop up, you want to be in the mix because you are someone with a curious brain. You are somebody who likes to learn. You are someone who wants to try new things. And for those of us who maybe aren't there yet, it requires an identity shift. And it requires us to rewire our brain to see ourselves as somebody who does that.
Yeah, I think the identity shift is just at the core of this.
Yeah.
We all have to look in the mirror right now and ask the big question, who am I? What do I really believe about myself and the world that I'm living in? And how can I adopt or change and almost surrender in a way to what's emerging and just play a role, whatever role I'm being called to play. And I think that is the energy of curiosity. I had Bill Gurley on the podcast, who's Benchmark Capital, billionaire, amazing. And he wrote a book that's very similar to the mission of reinvention. And he's saying all the same things. And when you're on the phone with Bill Gurley, and this is somebody who's been massively successful, like in almost every way, you could just see it. He's like, I'm just learning. He's like a kid. He's like, I'm just learning. I'm like curious. I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? And like, it's that energy that I think is required for successful reinvention, whether you're a leader, a founder, you're in a company, you're looking to actually get out and do something else. Like all of it is around the identity of, I don't really know what the future holds, but I'm really open and curious to what it is. And I want to play a part.
That's exactly what it is, because it has to come from you. It can't be your boss telling you, you need to do this, because it's never yours. Actually, I'm writing a book, and that first part of it is around shifting our identity to create a conscious life. And it's completely necessary to do that, to be able to truly and authentically embrace whatever's coming our way.
Let's talk about your book a little bit, because that was one of the conversations that we had. I mean, I know you have a framework. I think it was Ready, Set, Go.
The book is called Stuck in Motion, but the framework that I use with my clients, I just call it Ready, Set, Go. It's a 3-step framework.
Let's talk about that, because I think the book will probably represent the framework that you use. But talk to me about your framework, because I love this, right? I love hearing other coaches and people that do this for a living for a long time. What are the basic frameworks for how do we be successful and navigate this? We bounced around a lot of ideas, but now let's kind of put it together. Nikki Goldman's framework, right? Like, tell me what the general framework is that we can, take notes, and take away and practice it today.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so this was all born because what I noticed at a high level, if I was just taking all my clients spanning different industries, there's this feeling of stuckness that I've been kind of getting from my clients for the past few years. It's that feeling of, I know I'm on fire. I know that I'm so busy. I know that my weeks go by and I'm juggling so much and I don't have any time to even eat lunch. But then at the end of the week or the end of the month, I ask myself, what did I really do? And it's really hard to answer that question. And these are CEOs of companies that you've heard of saying this. And I call it stuck in motion, because you're in motion, but you're also stuck. And it's this hamster wheel of of the tail wagging the dog, of not being able to wrap your arms around whatever it is you're working on, find that North Star. So over time, and this has been a long time, I started coaching through this framework, and then it kind of naturally came together. I call it Ready, Set, Go. So step one is ready, and that is to set the vision. And it's not goal setting, or it's not like, give me your perfect day in 2 years, that kind of self-helpy exercise. This part is around identity. This part is, who do I see myself as? How do I want to be? What is the energy that I give off? And what kind of person am I? So perhaps it is around, I am someone who embraces change. I am a lifelong learner. I have an optimistic outlook on the way the world is going. Things like that is how you do step one, which is set your vision. Now, step two is, and Ready, Set, Go is on set. And this is the hard part. This is the part where you have to be really honest with yourself. And this is the part that you really need some sort of thought partner or coach to help you to understand where you are today. What are your blind spots? Who have you really become? And this part's hard because, it's very hard to give feedback, and your team can't be completely honest with you because they're a little bit worried about, their own job. And they're also a little bit worried about how it might come off, your reaction. Your peers just see a slice of the pie. But your boss also just sees a slice of the pie too. But, they're usually stretched really thin and they don't have a real full view of everything that's going on below you. Your partner or spouse, they're caught up in your relationship in different ways. They can't give honest feedback. Your friends typically are too kind to you. So you really need a coach or a therapist or some sort of thought partner, even a ChatGPT or a Claude, to just input so much into to really see yourself, who you are, where you're starting. And then Go is the heart of the whole framework, step 3, where we talk about momentum. So if you remember, we talk motion is harmful. Motion is just when you're moving and it feels really good in the moment because you get a dopamine hit when you cross things off your list or you finish a meeting, it's done. It's that like slam your laptop on a Friday afternoon feeling. But what we want is momentum. Momentum is motion plus direction. And so that's when we set the direction and we create momentum loops with my clients. And so momentum is a compounding effect. So if you commit to getting, 1% every day for a year, you're not 165% better. It all compounds over time. So it's a really helpful tool. And so I do something called the Friday close with my clients where that's how we build our momentum loops. And I can get into that if you want.
Momentum loops. Just talk to me about that. I love it, by the way. Tell me what you mean by momentum loops. We're going to get a little deep into the coachy stuff here, but I'm really curious, like what that actually means.
Yes. So this was all built on a quote that I had heard a while ago. So Hemingway had this quote, and in so many words, it was about how hard it is to start writing after taking a break. So a trick that he did was that he would stop writing mid-sentence so that on Monday, he knew exactly where to pick up for the week. Then it flows, and then you have momentum, then you're in the groove, especially if you have direction too. So you have motion plus direction equals momentum. So that inspired me to create momentum loops with my clients. And actually, we use AI for all of this. I built a portal for my clients called Ambitious. Ambitious is where on a Friday, instead of slamming your laptop shut, I ask my clients to film themselves for 90 seconds max, talking about their week. So there's 3 questions to answer. What did I do this week? How did this week feel? And what do I want to do next week? And they have to film it for 90 seconds. And they upload it to Ambitious, which is my portal for my clients. And at the end of each quarter, we generate a report. It's a GPT that I made where, it's all of my coaching style, the things that I want to watch out for. And it gives us live feedback. But those Friday closes, those videos, help us create those momentum loops because we know exactly where we want to pick up on Monday and we know what's important. And that accountability of having to do that Friday close, it really propels us forward and we get lots of honest feedback along the way.
I love it. Yeah,
Thanks.
really, really beautiful stuff. We're getting to the close here because I could go a million miles deep into your work.
Yeah,
and I'm
ditto.
excited for your book to come out. When is it coming out, by the way? Just real quick. When do you
Fall
think
2026. It's with the editor right now.
Oh, cool. So it's coming out soon.
Yeah,
Right. So
soon.
we'll be in touch on that. We'll let everyone know when that goes out. I want to close this out just a little bit about your reinvention, right? So one of the things that we talked about just when we were chatting about doing this podcast, you're like, well, I don't really have much of a social media presence. Right? I haven't really done that. Clients just come to you, right? And you're writing a book right now, right? And you're asking me about running a podcast, right? And I can even see you getting a little nervous right now, but this is what we do here, right?
I know.
You're also reinventing yourself here, right? And you're stepping into maybe a new role for yourself. So walk us through right now what's going on with you. Even just saying yes to doing this podcast, you had a little bit of nerves, right?
Totally. This is new for me. All of this is very, very
so talk to me about it,
new.
because I want to just frame it out, because one of the things that I definitely recommend for a lot of my clients, not everybody, but is to start looking at how they can express themselves in different ways, right? And that doesn't always mean that you're going to start doing LinkedIn posts or Instagram posts all the time or whatever, or TikTok channel, but it could, or it could mean a book, or it could mean a bunch of different things. But I feel as if you are transitioning to a new identity yourself, right? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because I think it's juicy. And I think that you're reinventing right now. And I just want to name it, right? I want to hear where you're at in the process and what does it look like for you?
Thank you. I am reinventing. So I have been running IO coaching for almost 11 years now. And I have been very lucky with my business. It's a completely referral business. I've never done any marketing whatsoever.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yes. And I've just relied on the good work that we've done. And it's worked really well. I have a team of coaches that are distributed around the country. We work with amazing clients. But I had this moment where I kind of woke up and I was like, I am in such a bubble. Like I am so insulated and I'm starting to feel a little safe. And actually my coach pushed me to explore what it would look like to make things a little bit more public and visible. And again, this is a very uncomfortable thing for me to be doing, but I am pushing myself to do it because I think it's important. And I do think it's my next chapter in coaching. It's definitely adjacent. It's all kind of the same, but I think it is time from being behind the scenes for over a decade with my clients to maybe, giving a little bit more to other folks who maybe can't afford coaching, aren't in coaching, don't have access to it. So that's the mission of it. That's what excites me. So I started a newsletter, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm learning as I go. It is a learning experience for me, and I'm embracing it. I'm embracing the discomfort, and I'm doing it.
I love it. We're similar. I mean, because I've been the same. I've been coaching for 20 years, like
Yeah.
always behind the scenes, and like doing this podcast and then starting to do some posts, which, I mean, I launched a TikTok channel, like 6 months ago, right? And that's fun because like that platform just gives me the ability to be totally free. I can do all kinds of like fun videos if I want. Like for me, kind of like deeply, even some woo stuff, like talk about. So it's just, I love it for you because I feel like you've done so much great work and now it feels like next level. Let me expand the narrative. Let me establish some thought leadership. It's almost like, I think a lot of people that are mid-career professionals that have done well, there's like this point in time where you're like, man, I want to give back more. I want to share what I've learned to a wider audience. And I think that part of reinvention is just embracing that, and then using platforms or systems like Ready, Set, Go to be able to do it. We need frameworks because can't do it alone, right? Don't do any of this alone, right, is my recommendation. Find people that will help you do these things because there's ways about writing a book and going on social media that will really help you, right? And you know that because you help others in other areas. So I think once we adopt that mindset that we always need assistance and help, we get to where we want to go faster.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm excited for you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I think if you go in with pure intentions, then everything will come together and it will all work. So
yeah.
Well,
I've loved this conversation. You were amazing, Nikki. I mean, seasoned pro at podcast. I think you're set up to do really well in all your endeavors. And I'm excited. I think we have some work to do together in the future. Hopefully, we'll see. So. And just really grateful that you took the time to be here.
Likewise, I really appreciate it. And Todd, you really pushed me to do this. I was like trying to make excuses. I feel uncomfortable, but here I am. And I'm very happy that you had me on. I really appreciate it.